questions. That's the part that I thought you guys would be most interested in. All right, so if you can, go ahead and flip back to the front. Do you guys do Scholastic News or Time for Kids? Yeah? Okay, this is a Time for Kids. It's like a kids magazine. There's lots of information in these. They're really fun to read. Every time I read these, I learn something new, whether it be about space or animals or about lots of famous people or new inventions maybe sometimes. This one is about Helen Keller. Helen Keller. Think for a minute. Has anybody ever heard of Helen Keller? Yes. What do you know about Helen Keller? Do you know anything about Helen Keller, or you've just heard the name?
I just heard it.
Yeah? Okay. What do you know about Helen Keller?
She's deaf.
Deaf? Okay. Tell us what deaf means.
Like they can't speak, they can't hear, so you have to do something.
She can't hear. Right.
She was blind.
She was blind. How did you know this great information about Helen Keller?
Because I looked up famous people on the internet and I just went through.
So you just spend your time investigating famous people?
It was on the weekend one time on Saturday, I can't remember when it was, I think it was a Saturday. I just looked up famous people and just like clicked on websites.
Awesome. Great. Great research. Yes?
She didn't care that she was like blind or deaf.
You don't think she cared? Did you hear that somewhere, or is that what you're just thinking based on information you've heard? Just thinking that? Okay. Well, taking a look at the front, we see the title, Amazing Helen Keller. So Time for Kids probably thinks that she did some amazing things. Something amazing happened with her life. Yes?
When she did it, how could she like read books and stuff?
You know, I bet this is going to tell us. So let's read to find that out. Okay, it says on the front here, and let's follow along with your finger. Okay, so I need you to scoot up and be a reader, please, okay? All right, it says she was blind and deaf, but that did not stop Helen Keller from doing great things. Imagine if that was your life, if you were both blind and deaf, what that would mean for you. You wouldn't know what your friends would look like. You wouldn't know about all the beautiful things on the earth. You wouldn't be able to hear the birds singing. You wouldn't know the voice of your mother.
My uncle was a little boy. He couldn't hear, but something was in his ear.
Oh, goodness. Well, sometimes they can fix those things and sometimes not. Okay, so flip to the second page, please. So when we're reading informational text, the author uses lots of different features that give us information. So on the second page, even though on the first page we've already seen a title, the second page is also giving us a title. Can somebody read that for me? White shirt. An Amazing Life. That kind of ties in what the author used on the front page as well. So then he gives us a little bit of information here. And then when you have pictures, and he's putting under information to describe the pictures, those are called captions. Let's turn to the next page. Are you noticing captions with pictures on this page?
Yes.
Okay, and there's another new text feature the author's using on this page. Take a minute to look with your partner and talk about what you might see that's new on this page that wasn't on the others. We're noticing two pictures that have captions, but there's something different on this page that isn't on the other pages. Now, be careful. We've been talking about interesting versus important. And don't get caught up on something that's interesting on that page and miss the important thing that we're talking about. Nope, we're not on that page. Hold the phone. Back to this page. Raise your hand if you see something new on this page that isn't on the other pages. Yes?
There's this girl, she taught her how to read.
Okay, where are you seeing this? All right. There's a picture that has a caption, some words underneath of it. And those are on the top. But there's something new on this page that the author's showing us that he hasn't on other pages. Yes?
Helen Keller's first book was called Story of My Life. It tells us what her first book was.
Yep, and what's right there on the bottom? What else is there?
There's a hand, a mouth, and a nose.
Okay, hand, mouth, and nose. It's kind of like showing us some of our senses. But what is this right here? Anybody know? Yes, ma'am.
The counting chart, like
Yeah, what's that called?
tally chart,
Tally chart or a tally what? You know?
That was so hard.
Oh, so use your word and his together. So a tally graph. Yeah, a tally graph, tally chart. So that's giving us some information. We'll have to pay attention to that also. Let's turn to the last page. What's the author showing us on this page? Yes?
Sign language with letters.
Yeah, he's just showing us how to sign. So he's giving us a little peek into some of the language that Helen Keller had to use to speak. So something fun for kids. All right, let's flip back to the front. So let's read the title again together. You ready? Amazing Helen Keller. She was blind and deaf, but that did not stop Helen Keller from doing great things. All right, you and your partner read the information on this page. In a minute, but not yet. So I want to chat about something real quick. Last time we talked about interesting versus important, right? So I bet the author, to make the story interesting, is going to give us interesting information about her. But he also is going to give us lots of facts because it's about her life. So I want you to read that page with your partner. And then put a star next to the piece of information you feel like is the very most important. So decide who's going to read what part. And then you're going to discuss it together. Okay, I'm going to have you hang on to that thought, but first you need to work with your partner.
How will you know how she read? What if you can't hear her because everyone's talking?
So you feel like you're going to have trouble hearing her? Make sure you read loudly in his ear so he can hear you well, okay?
Because everyone.
So I'm concerned, first of all, how you're sitting in your chair. So you might want to sit in the chair and then lean your head in toward her so you can hear really well. Stay on that first page, please. Like when he's reading, he doesn't. But again, I think he doesn't.
people who are deaf use their hands to speak. Look at the American Sign Language alphabet used said to figure out the three words below. Write a word on each line.
You can X that out now.
Look at Sancho.
Don't forget to star the item you thought was most important. And I hope no one's writing on my desk.
Let me know. Do we go to write with?
I don't think she said anything about writing, and I don't think she said, look at me, look at me, and I don't think she
Okay,
said
got
anything
it?
about the third page.
Okay, nope, we're still on just that second page of information there. Got it? Okay, let's see. We're going to start over here first, and we're going to listen. We're going to be looking at the person that's speaking and being respectful. Okay, eyes up here. Go ahead. Stand up and be loud. Share your fact that you felt like was most important.
Hillary Clinton was more than 1,020 years old. She became deaf, blind and deaf when she was just a baby. A deaf teacher helped her learn to read and speak. Hillary Clinton did not let anything stand in her way.
Okay, so you think that whole section was important. Is that correct? That whole section of information there? For a moment, I want you to think about important versus interesting. If I said Mrs. Holcomb is the best teacher ever, okay? She brings us treats. She teaches us how to read. That's 3 facts that I told you about Mrs. Holcomb. Mrs. Holcomb is a fantastic teacher. She brings you treats. She teaches you how to read. Talk for a moment with your partner about what the most important information would be about Mrs. Holcomb. We're not talking about Helen Keller right now. So just in what I said about Mrs. Holcomb, pick the most important fact. Yes, ma'am. The reading. Does that help the big idea that Mrs. Holcomb is a great teacher? Okay, so if I said she brings you snacks.